The best of today's qualifying action for the Singapore Grand Prix at 5:15. First on BBC One, an early start for Final Score with Jason Mohammad.
He was one of the heroes of the afternoon. Latest score is Wimbledon.
John Terry's tears, we all remember those.
Crucial week.
Hello, good afternoon. After a busy week of Champions League and Europa League action, it's back to the domestic scene today. Matches taking place up and down the country with two unbeaten Premier League records being defended. Martin Keown and Dion Dublin are across it all, and we've persuaded Martin not to do a man-marking job on Dion every time there's a set piece in the studio. It would get very messy, trust me. So we have reporters at all the matches in the Premier League, the Championship, plus featured matches in League 1, 2 and the Scottish Premiership. Let's bring you right up to date then with the Barclays Premier League. And the highlight at Anfield so far was an incredible Artur Boruc save from a Steven Gerrard free kick just a few minutes ago. Terrific save. You can see that tonight in Match of the Day, of course. Loic Remy with his first goal for Newcastle United after 10 minutes. Robbie Brady has equalised at St James's Park. It's West Bromwich Albion 1. Sunderland 0. Who else but Stefan Sessegnon scoring the goal? But he chose, interestingly, not to celebrate against the club who sold him just a few weeks ago. West Ham United have just taken the lead against Everton. We'll get details on that goal by Ravel Morrison in just a moment. And earlier today, Norwich City were beaten by Aston Villa by 1-0. Don't forget, you can keep right up to date with all the action via the BBC Sport website for live text commentaries. You can share your views using the hashtag Final Score, but be nice to us, of course. You can see the latest match photos on Facebook or go behind the scenes on Instagram. Let's get the very latest then from Upton Park and find out how that's getting on. Mark Webber.
West Ham United 1, Everton 0. Anyone who fell asleep at West Ham's performance against Southampton last weekend has just been given the ultimate wake-up call by a brilliant goal. Jarvis on the edge of the area. Went past two Everton defenders. He saw Ravel Morrison standing there in the D. You have it, son. Have a go. The kick was very slow and very laboured to me, but Tim Howard stood there like he was waiting for a bus. It absolutely flummoxed him. And as a result, it's West Ham 1, Everton 0.
OK, and let's go then to Liverpool, unbeaten so far, and they're at home to Southampton, who've been finding goals hard to come by this season with just 2 in 4 games before today. Damian Johnson is at Anfield.
It's 0-0 here, Jason. Best chance to Liverpool. A free kick in a central position, 25 yards out from Steven Gerrard, thwarted by a brilliant flying save from Artur Boruc in the Southampton goal. Liverpool have played largely on the break. Southampton have come back into it of late, exploiting some hesitancy in the home side's defence. Gerrard at fault when the ball fell to Ricky Lambert briefly, but he couldn't get a decent contact on the ball and skewed his effort harmlessly wide. 34 minutes gone. It's 0-0.
Let's take you to Newcastle United, and they have confounded the early season gloom with 7 points out of their last 9. Today they face proud Geordie Steve Bruce and his Hull City team. Richard Askham is at St James's Park. What I'm interested in, Richard, is what sort of reception did Steve Bruce get?
Well, as you can imagine, Jason, not the most friendly for the former Sunderland manager. 1 or 2 boos around the ground, although as he used to cheer on the Magpies as a boy, as you mentioned, I'm never quite sure whether the animosity is as fierce as it would seem to be. He certainly wasn't feeling comfortable, though, a few minutes later when his side found themselves a goal down. Loic Remy, always sharp, finding space in the box to nod Newcastle in front. He's been a real threat. So too Hatem Ben Arfa. There's a collective buzz around the ground every time he gets on the ball. But Hull City, who were really struggling at that point, kept plugging away and they got their reward. Danny Graham should have ended his goal drought, but was denied by Tim Krul before Robbie Brady did find the net, striking in from the left-hand side of the box, hard and low, and this is now a pretty even battle.
Well, this morning's bottom 2 and the only 2 Premier League sides without a win so far. They're meeting at the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion v Sunderland, watched by Ivan Gaskell.
And after 36 minutes under September sunshine, West Brom are shading it. A bit of a battle really between two sides unable to buy a win lately. And after Sunderland's early pressure, it's West Brom who've made that breakthrough. And would you believe it, against his former side, it's West Brom's record-breaking signing, Stéphane Sessegnon, making his first start, who scored it. His subdued reaction to his close-range finish on 20 minutes spoke volumes. Another new West Brom face, Morgan Amalfitano, saw a drive touched onto the crossbar. At the other end, Adam Johnson dragged wide when well placed. But it's all pretty anxious stuff here. West Brom lead it 1-0.
We're going to take you to the Championship. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, an incredible story emerging at St Andrews. Seth Bennett.
Goodness me, well, you talk about signings making the difference. Birmingham lead here by 3-0. Lee Clark turned to Jesse Lingard. He gave him a debut, never started a game in professional football. He has now scored a 32-minute hat-trick. Wonderful, wonderful debut from the Manchester United youngster, and Birmingham in control. They're up by 3-0.
The Football League show is going to be terrific tonight because what a game at the Riverside. Steve Sutton.
Yes, indeed, 2-2. Bournemouth went ahead in the 4th minute, a penalty from Brett Pittman. Pittman added a second penalty on 11 minutes. Then the Middlesbrough fight back. First, it was a cross from Friend and a goal from Camera. That made it 2-1. And then a few moments ago, an absolute blistering shot, 25-30 yards from Mustafa Carriol into the top corner of the Bournemouth net. Breathless first half. It's 2-2.
A good afternoon for football in Bristol. Bristol Rovers in League Two leading Hartlepool by 1-0, and Bristol City have just gone in front. J. Emmanuel Thomas, also known as Jet, taking off this afternoon. Do you get it? Queen's Park Rangers went top of the table in midweek. Today they've travelled to face a Yeovil Town side who've endured 3 straight home defeats. No goals scored prior today. How's it going so far? Hamish Marshall.
Well, it's 0-0, so it's so far so good for the underdogs. They have created 3 decent chances as well. The closest was a Joe Grant shot, which forced an excellent save from Rob Green in the QPR goal. That's now 9 hours since they conceded, but they are a bit light in terms of scoring. Matt Phillips has spurned their best opportunity with an off-target finish after a lovely through ball. We've played 38 minutes. It's Yeovil 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0.
Well, Nottingham Forest's flying start to the season has slowed somewhat of late. Just 1 win in their last 4 games. Today they've gone to South Yorkshire to face Doncaster Rovers. Alan Biggs has a goal.
Yes, Forest have been on top, but they trail by 1-0 just a moment or so ago. Scored by Federico Makeda on loan from Manchester United. This is first start for Doncaster, also his first appearance here at the Keepmoat Stadium. An instant favourite, the Italian who sprang to prominence with Manchester United only a few seasons ago with a calm, assured side foot finish from 10 yards after the chance was created by a run from Theo Robinson against the run of play. Doncaster 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
Second play third in the Championship this afternoon. Blackpool looking to bounce back from their surprise defeat at Millwall. Host Leicester City. Durham Tanner is at Bloomfield Road. How's this one going, Durham?
Well, it's going the usual way for Blackpool. They lead Leicester by 1-0. And as you say, after that blip at Millwall in midweek, the reliance is certainly on the solid 1-0 winning form at home. They've started in the usual fashion. They've scored first. Ricardo Fuller's cross from wide out met perfectly by Chris Basham, close in after 18 minutes. But Leicester looking strong and inventive, and they break with pace and precision. There are more goals in this one, I'm sure, but Blackpool lead 1-0.
Look forward to coming back to you. Burnley have started the season well with just 1 defeat in their opening 7 games. Today they've made the relatively short journey across the Pennines to visit Leeds United. And Harry Gratian, it sounds like a brilliant atmosphere at Ellen Road.
Yeah, Leeds 0, Burnley 1, Jason. Decent match as well. Lovely goal from Scott Arfield on 16 minutes, fired Burnley into the lead deservedly. They were all over Leeds at that point. Leeds have had a couple of chances to equalise though. 2 minutes later, Varney brought a great save from Heaton, and then an outstanding effort from McCormack went just wide as well. Leeds 0, Burnley 1.
10 of Derby County's 11 Championship points so far have been gained on the road, but they're at home today. Nigel Adkins Reading are the visitors, along with Peter Slater.
Yeah, it's goalless. Strange that Derby haven't performed so well at Pride Park, where they enjoy some of the best support in the division. They've been on top in this game. They're unchanged. Reading have made 5 changes, so probably taking a little bit of time to bed in. Clearest opportunity, Johnny Russell, 2 goals at Bolton in midweek, forcing a full-length save from Alex McCarthy, who's also denied Jamie Ward and Craig Forsyth. So Derby on top, but at the moment it's Derby 0, Reading 0.
Bolton Wanderers started the day bottom of the Championship, just 3 points from a possible 21. Another defeat. It'll be their worst league start in 50 years. They've made the long journey to the south coast to face a Brighton and Hove Albion side who've gradually been finding their feet under Oscar Garcia at the Amex. This afternoon for final score, Tony Husband.
And Bolton have the advantage here. Dougie Freedman staying loyal to his players. He said this week that there was no one in the current loan market who would actually improve his squad. They've been rewarded with managing to cope with an early onslaught from Brighton by taking the lead just before the half hour. Chung Yong Lee from a short corner, his cross deflected off David Lopez. That was 1-0 Bolton. Brighton very close to an equaliser. Luar with a 25-yarder which crashed off the crossbar, but Brighton trail with 5 minutes to half-time.
Tony, thank you. Barnsley just 1 point and 1 place above Bolton at the bottom of the Championship table. The visitors to Oakwell today, Gianfranco Zola, Watford and Naz Premji. How's that for an introduction, Naz?
It's certainly a great one, Jason. It's gone to type, it's gone to form. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 2, 37 on the watch. It was Troy Deeney who opened the scoring, beating the offside trap to get Watford underway. Jason Scotland then robbed Irene on the edge of the box and lashed in a leveller, and then moments later a hoof ball into the box found Davide Faraoni on his own. He tapped in to make it 2-1. Exciting stuff. It's end-to-end here, and more goals definitely expected if this is anything to go by. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 2.
Troy Deeney's 6th goal of the season. Blackburn Rovers and Huddersfield Town may both have started the day in mid-table. Between them, they can boast the 2 leading scorers in the Championship in Jordan Rhodes and James Vaughan, respectively. Any goal-scoring fireworks at Ewood Park so far, Dennis Lloyd?
Well, it's certainly the battle of the strikers, but it's still Blackburn 0, Huddersfield 0. Who'd have thought Blackburn have scored 9 goals in their last 2 games at Ewood Park? But Jordan Rhodes has had 3 chances with his head, one which was saved, one which was wide, and one which was rocketed high over the bar. Huddersfield, however, through James Vaughan, had a great chance early on. His pinpoint header from 6 yards out rattled the crossbar, but it's been Blackburn that have been the dominant. But it's 42 minutes gone, still 0-0.
And the goals keep coming in the Championship. Alan Biggs has got one.
Yes, Doncaster Rovers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. The Forest equaliser from Chris Keown. All of Forest's attempts here have been from long range. If they were going to score, they were going to score that way. But this, even so, was highly improbable. Chris Keown from a seemingly impossible angle on the left-hand side, and it was deliberate, just almost without looking up, fired across the Doncaster area and arrowed it into the far top corner. A terrific goal from Keown, which has made it Doncaster 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
Doncaster without a win in 5 matches in all competitions. Let's go to League One, and the league leaders Leyton Orient not in action until Monday. Therefore, a chance for the chasing pack to close the gap. Preston North End are in that group. They've travelled to face a Sheffield United side who surprisingly find themselves at the other end of the table. What's happened to Sheffield United, Steve May?
Well, plenty of chances here, Jason, but they're just not finding the back of the net. Most of them have gone to United. A short corner on the right-hand side found Fabian Brandy at the far post on his own, but he rather fell over the ball and the chance was gone. Tony McMahon has had a couple of direct free kicks from just outside the area that have gone over. The only one chance really for Preston was when keeper Long and Bailey Wright miscommunicated and Kevin Davies tried to chip the keeper, only for Long to collect it rather easily. It's Sheffield United 0, Preston North End 0.
Burnley fans were in fine voice after their first goal. Harry Gratian, how do they sound now?
Oh, they're ecstatic, Jason. They lead 2-0. Vokes was the scorer. His header brought a very good save from Kenny. Perhaps Kenny might be a bit annoyed with himself for not actually keeping hold of it. The ball went clear and Vokes followed up to make it 2-0. 42 minutes gone here. 2-0 to Burnley.
Cracking game at Swindon Town. Swindon 2, Bristol City 2. The standout game in League 2 sees the top 2 in the table meet at the Kassam Stadium. Oxford United versus leaders Chesterfield, watched by Andy Barwell.
And the league leaders are ahead. It's Oxford United 0, Chesterfield 1. A terrific goal too from Richie Humphries. Good work down the left by Owen Doyle. He spotted a blue shirt in space 12 yards out, and Humphries did the rest. Not difficult to see why Chesterfield are top. They look confident, assured and very, very comfortable. They lead by a goal to 0.
And back to the Premier League. There is a new hero on Tyneside, Richard Hascombe.
Yes, absolutely. We know what a good player Loic Remy is from his days at Queen's Park Rangers, and the man on loan from Rangers has got his second of the game. He took it expertly. It came back out to him after a shot from Johan Kabay that was blocked, and he took it instantly, right-footed, and giving the keeper no chance whatsoever. And Newcastle now lead by 2-1.
It's a fine finish, isn't it, Dion?
It is a fine finish. It's Kabay that takes the original shot, edge of the box, and he's shooting down to the keeper's right. So the keeper's gone down to his right. It takes a deflection. It just sits lovely for Remy, who's got all that goal just there over the keeper's left shoulder and just steers it in. Very instinctive. He's got to put it away again. The boy's on fire. The boy's on fire.
Player at the top of his game. Second goal of the game. He's ruthless with his finish. You might have taken a touch there, someone without confidence, but he's just dispatched it. And he's put them back in. It's about confidence in this game. Hull, though, have given a good account of themselves.
That's what you said, didn't you? You said about the Newcastle
momentum.
Got it,
They've got that momentum.
Can they put it back together? And they have done.
And what have you chaps made of the way in which Alan Pardew has built up the team spirit after a disastrous start of the season? They got hammered by Manchester City. Johan Gabay stays after being linked with Arsenal. Hatim Ben Arfa playing well. Loic Remy scoring goals.
Well, I just think he's the kind of the manager that he'll do it behind closed doors, and he'll tell us what he wants from his players to their face, and he'll build that spirit up, and they're all responding to
Alan Pardew talked about Demba Ba. They've not been the same since he left. Remy's there now, gives everyone confidence.
OK, let's go to Oakwell. Naz Premji.
Barnsley 1, Watford 3. It's a first goal of the season for Fernando Forestieri. A ball played in from the right-hand side, and Forestieri on his own in the box past Luke Steele. The home side have got work to do. Watford are enjoying their day out in South Yorkshire. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 3.
In the Premier,
he's also seen a player he sold come back to haunt him in a big way. Stefan Sessegnon, a little man, but he made a big impact on the game. 20 minutes in, a deadline day record signing at the Hawthorns, scoring on his first West Brom start from relatively close range. Took it well, though, 20 minutes in. His reaction to the goal, deeply subdued. His silence spoke volumes. West Brom could have made it 2. Another new face, Amalfitano, saw a drive, touched onto the crossbar. Johnson dragged wide when well placed soon after. But Sunderland with more questions than answers at this stage. West Brom 1, Sunderland 0.
Poke away from goals, but it was Ravel Morrison in free space in the D, nobody around him really, tapping the ball very slowly, and that tap just completely flummoxed Tim Howard. He's been out of sorts today, he's not been himself at all. At the other end, West Ham have been a wall. They've even managed to knock down Ross Barkley. He's been looking for some of his trademark shots from the area. He can't get anywhere near it. Lots of work for Everton to do in this second half. West Ham United 1, Everton 0.
Mark, thank you. Should Everton lose today, that would mean just one team in the Barclays Premier League unbeaten, Liverpool. Damien Johnson.
Well, it's goalless at the moment. The league leader's not entirely convincing, but they did create the best chances of the first half. A 25-yard free kick by Steven Gerrard, brilliantly saved full length by Artur Boruc. Southampton had their keeper to thank again. A quick throw-in from Gerrard released Victor Moses down the left. He cut inside and fired goalwards, his effort palmed away by Boruc. Sturridge had a header which went just over towards the end of the first half. Liverpool have looked strangely nervous at the back, fielding 4 centre-backs with Sakho and Touré at full-back. Some dithering by Gerrard offered Ricky Lambert the chance, but he fired wide. It's 0-0.
And goal has put a completely different complexion on those half-time team talks.
Let's take you into the Championship before today's kick-off. Queen's Park Rangers were the league leaders. How are they getting on today, Hamish Marshall?
Well, it's 0-0 at half-time here at Yeovil, and the leaders are being held, and they have to thank keeper Rob Green for 2 excellent saves, otherwise they would be behind. He's denied Joe Grant and Liam Davis after a very good half from Yeovil. Rangers boss Harry Redknapp will want to see more chances being created. They will look to exploit a reshuffle in the home defence. Due to injury, Yeovil now only have 1 recognised central defender left on the pitch. Half-time, Yeovil 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0.
And if the scores stay as they are, it will be Blackpool who return to the top of the table. Doom Tanner.
Yes, because Blackpool are leading Leicester City by 1-0. 4th time in a row at home that Blackpool have scored first. Certainly need a reaction from that miserable midweek. Blackpool scoring on the 18th minute. Chris Basham first to the header for Ricardo Fuller's excellent cross from wide out. But Leicester City are providing a handful, and they've had chances aplenty. 2 informed sides providing exciting game with pace and precision. All played out in bright sunshine on the west coast. There's no better place to be. Blackpool 1, Leicester City 0.
What more could you want, you lucky boy? Another Lancashire team doing well. Harry Gratian.
Burnley haven't won here for 6 years, Jason. They might today. 2 lovely goals on 16 and 42 minutes gave them a stranglehold, really. Arfield got the early one, Vokes the second after Kenny only parried his header and he followed up to score easily. Leeds have had a couple of chances. Barney McCormick unlucky, but Heaton is marshalling his defence absolutely superbly. A penalty claim denied on half-time for Leeds, but they're in deep trouble here. They trail 2-0.
Let's zip across Yorkshire and to Alan Biggs at the Keepmoat.
Yeah, Doncaster Rovers 1, Nottingham Forest 1. 2 goals late in the half, and the scoreline just about right because Doncaster finished the half the stronger after Forest's earlier dominance. Very lively opening period, spurred by Federico Macedo with his first goal for Doncaster. This was against the flow of the game, but a fine, composed finish, left-footed from the loanee from Manchester United. The lead, though, swiftly obliterated by a cracking angled shot from Chris Keown. It was the shot that took the plaudits, but there was a clever layoff in the build-up to it from, predictably, Andy Reid. And it's 1-1 at the Keepmoat.
And what about Forest's big rivals, Derby County, Peter Slater?
It's 0-0 against Reading, unchanged Derby. The better chances, Russell, Ward, Forsyth, and best of the lot from Will Hughes. But Alex McCarthy equal to them all, parrying, punching, then turning Hughes' drive around a post. No wonder the Reading keepers on Roy Hodgson's radar. Reading have had to change 5. Chris Baird's making his debut on loan from Fulham, so they're taking time to bed in. New boy Jordan Abita, some decent touches, but Derby finding it so hard to replicate their away goal-scoring form at Pride Park. It's Derby 0, Reading 0.
Let's go to Tony Husband at the Amex. This could be a big result for Dougie Freedman.
Yes, Bolton have had to soak up a lot of pressure in the first half, but they lead through a David Lopez own goal. He deflected in Chung Yong Lee's cross just before the half-hour mark. David Ngog had earlier seen a great chance saved as well. Brighton have had most of the play. They've hit the bar through Kazenga Lualua, but it's the bottom side who lead. Brighton 0, Bolton 1.
Another team on the road doing very well today, Watford, Naz Premji.
Yes, at the break it's Barnsley 1, Watford 3. The visitors looking to register a first win in 13 years here. They're well on their way. Troy Deeney beat the offside trap for 1-0, firing low past Luke Steele. Jason Scotland then fired in a leveller, robbing Irene on the edge of the area. Faroni then tapped in to give Watford the lead once again, and just moments ago an Ikichi Anya cross converted superbly by Fernando Forestieri, a right-footed effort past Luke Steele. It'll be Gianfranco Zola who will enjoy his half-time brew here in Yorkshire. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 3.
4 goals at Oakwell, 4 goals for Steve Sutton at the Riverside.
Yes, it's 2-2, a quite breathless first 45. Bournemouth raced to a 2-goal lead inside 12 minutes. 2 penalties from Brett Pittman on 4 and 11. First, Williams tripped Ranty, and then Richardson handled in the box. Then began the Middlesbrough fight back. First, the Championship new boys failed to clear a George Friend cross. Keir Kamara took advantage of the loose ball to fire home from close range. Then, just after the half-hour, Mustafa Carriol on a shot to nothing from 30 yards, which flew into the top corner. Middlesbrough 2, Bournemouth 2.
Only 3 goals at St Andrews, but all from the same player. What a story, Seth Bennett.
Birmingham 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0. 20-year-old Jesse Lingard is the answer to Lee Clark's prayers. Having never started a match in professional football, the Manchester United loanee scored a 13-minute hat-trick on debut. His first was a tight-angle finish after Matt Green's shot was well saved. The second was cool and calm when one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He ensured the match ball with a right-foot curler into the bottom corner. Birmingham City on fire. Lingard, incidentally, is now Birmingham's top scorer this season. As for Sheffield Wednesday, well, the less said about their defending, the better, I think. At half-time, the sun is shining in Birmingham. They're happy. That's because they're 3-0 up.
So many goals in the Championship, and yet Delith Lloyd doesn't have any at Ewood Park. Sell it to us, Delith.
Yeah, I didn't have any last week either. The deadlock yet to be broken. It's Blackburn 0, Huddersfield 0. Rovers, though, could and should have had a hatful. Jason, top scorer Jordan Rhodes had 4 good chances of note, 3 with his head, mainly due to some great work by Josh King and Tommy Spur down the left flank. Scott Dan also had a clear chance for the home side from a corner, but his header skimmed over the crossbar. Huddersfield have just scored twice on their travels this season, but when they had possession, looked bright. Their best chance came in the 7th minute from their man of the moment, James Vaughan, who rattled the crossbar with his close-range header. Goals look promising, Jason. Let's just hope we get some in the second half. It's Blackburn 0, Huddersfield 0.
Delith, thank you very much. So let's bring you right up to date with all the half-time scores in League One. It's Colchester 1, Crawley Town 1, Gillingham 0, Bradford City 1, Notts County 1, Tranmere Rovers 0, Oldham 0, Crewe 1, Peterborough 2, MK Dons 0, Port Vale 1, Coventry City 2, Sheffield United 0, Preston North End 0. It finished in the early kick-off. Shrewsbury Town 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, keeping up the pressure on Leyton Orient, who don't play until Monday night. Stevenage 0, Carlisle United 1, Swindon Town 2, cracking game there, Bristol City 2 and Walsall 1, Rotherham United 1. Big game at the Keown Stadium in League Two. Andy Barwell, half-time.
And at half-time, it's Oxford United 0, Chesterfield 1. Richie Humphries' goal on the 30-minute mark separating these two. But in reality, it's hard to spot who's the home side and who's the away team. Chesterfield have been excellent. Oxford's chances few and far between. Dean Smalley restored to their attack, stretched every sinew but couldn't get onto the end of a dangerous cross. But it was an impressive first 45 minutes from Chesterfield, who lead 1-0 at the break.
And this is how League Two looks at half-time. Accrington Stanley, bottom of the table, in all sorts of trouble at home. They're 2-1 down. AFC Wimbledon 0, Burton Albion 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Hartlepool United 2, Bury 0, Southend United 1. This is an interesting story. Newport County could be on course for their first away victory since winning promotion to the Football League. They lead at Exeter City through Connor Washington. It's Mansfield Town 2, Northampton 0, Morecambe 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1. As we've heard, Oxford United 0, Chesterfield 1, Portsmouth 0, Fleetwood Town 0, Scunthorpe United 0, Plymouth Argyle 0, Torquay United 2, Cheltenham 1 and Wycombe Wanderers 0, York City 0. To the Scottish Premiership, how are the league leaders? Inverness getting on? Ailey Barber.
Yes, Jason, well, not many watching this one would believe Inverness are leading the way in the Scottish Premiership this season. It's been fairly comfortable for the home side, who would be leading, but for the heroics of Inverness goalkeeper Dean Brill. First tipping round a vicious Cammy Smith strike round the wrong side of the post, then a solid save from a goal-bound Michael Hector header. I'm glad I'm not in the dressing room right now at the receiving end of Terry Butcher's half-time talk. It's still Aberdeen 0, Inverness 0.
Before today, champion Celtic just 3 points behind Inverness. Roddy Forsyth.
And they're on course to catch up if that scoreline at Pittodrie stays the same. Celtic 2-0 ahead, and with every prospect of doubling that advantage or more in the second half. They've played a high-tempo game following on from their creditable but ultimately thwarted performance in the San Siro. Timo Pukki in his first start, scoring his second goal for Celtic. He got one in a short substitute appearance last week. This time got onto a Stokes reverse pass, managed to angle it through the legs of the nearest defender and the goalkeeper. 1-0, and then a Stokes shot was blocked midway through the half. It rebounded to Mulgrew with a deft first touch. He unleashed a left foot 25-yard shot, and the only save Fraser Forster has had to make was from a back header from his own man, Boricta.
And this is how the Scottish Premiership looks at half-time. Hibs are 1-0 up at home to St Mirren. Partick Thistle 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0, Hearts 1. OK, back to the Barclays Premier League. Let's have a very quick chat about Liverpool. And Martin Keown, what's interesting in the papers this morning is that Brendan Rodgers is playing down talk of possibly challenging Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United and Arsenal. What's going on at Anfield?
Yeah, I think he's right. And today shows me that. You know, it's that consistency in their play. They need to win this one today to stay in with a shout at the top four or winning the thing, which is another thing to think about. Whether they've got the mentality for that remains to be seen. Interesting today, really, he's got 4 central defenders playing along the back line. Sakho at left back, not sure he's got that right. He's not necessarily looked comfortable. Toure not playing with the same confidence there.
I think with Coutinho not playing and Suarez coming back.
Yeah, it's not quite fluid, is it?
It's not. They're not quite there yet, you know. And I think he's right to play it down. I think he's right to say, listen, just hold on a minute. You know, we're nowhere near.
His half-time team talk will be interesting though, because it's a great opportunity for Liverpool, and they've got to grasp that.
But it has been such a good start, you know, unbeaten, and they've beaten Manchester United already. They've got Luis Suarez coming back. Daniel Sturridge looks outstanding, and also you've got. OK, Coutinho is going to be out, but you've got Victor Moses, who could be a very astute signing.
But you don't win the league by beating Man United. You don't win the league by beating Liverpool. You know, it's just one of those crescendo things. You've just got to get stronger and stronger and stronger to hold on to.
And how important is this fella going to be for Everton, Romelu Lukaku? He's coming on.
Yeah, I think he'll be amazing. I think, you know, he's got pace, he's strong. He will score goals, given the chance, given the games. Again, we're all going to say it. Surprised that we let him, Chelsea let him go.
If anything, in that first half, West Ham have been very, very physical. Got around them, Everton, who love to pass the ball now, have been snapping at their heels. That's how the goal came. Morrison scoring from distance. They need to react and need to react quickly.
And were you surprised that Romelu Lukaku wasn't starting? I mean, you've been able to watch a little bit of Everton whilst I've been doing all the hard work. But were you surprised that Romelu Lukaku wasn't starting today? OK, he wasn't able to play against Chelsea.
He wanted to play a winning side, didn't he? Again, after the Chelsea game, you can't take anybody out of that performance. But it's a good reaction, and they need to get him on there quickly. They need to be different in their approach this second half. West Ham have kind of mugged them in that first half, and Sam has been up and down that touchline, really getting into his play.
I think with Jelavic and is it Morales as well, you know, Lukaku likes the power. He likes to have to fight off defenders, and it's becoming one of those games where they need somebody to go, right, here we go, I'll take it in, play from me.
And how about this? James McCarthy also coming on at half-time. So I said to Mark Webber that this is going to be a pretty big team talk. He's decided to throw everything at it.
Well, I think he's got to, you know. He has got to. He's got to turn it around. He will do, because McCarthy will serve, and hopefully Lukaku will be on the end of that service.
And what about West Ham United? How strong have they looked today? Because they've had trouble finding the net as well.
They've been snapping around Diami in that midfield, Jarvis running with the ball. You know, it's a really upbeat tempo to their game, and it's a difficult place Upton Park to go to right now. Can they keep that going, the energy levels with the crowd and the atmosphere? Everton now got to turn that round, and I think to make personnel change right at the start of the second half is a good way to do that.
I think with Collins there at the back, and they've got Nolan as well. They're the kind of voices at half-time you say, hold on a minute, what we've got we keep, or we take, or
Premier League experience,
exactly, or we take it on. We do not, step off, because every time people like Gareth Bale had the ball, it's been a Keown blue shirt there. You know, you can't turn and play. Everton have got to work for these points today.
You have to earn it the hard way when you play against one of Sam's sides, and it's going to have to be a big turnaround in the performance there for them to win that.
All right, lads, thank you very much. Well, England's women's football team have been in World Cup qualifying action against Belarus at Bournemouth today. It's their first fixture in 15 years without long-serving coach Hope Powell, who was sacked last month. Commentary from Jonathan Pearce.
England look for White through the middle. Here's Carney all the way into the box, and 1-0 England. It has taken them less than 3 minutes to score the opening goal. Here's Bronze, wanders on the edge of the penalty area, just onside. White in here for number 2. Belarus looked to the flag that stayed down, and England lead 2-0. Here's Bronze. Again, look at the engine on Jordan Nobbs to get in there. Carney. That's a great effort. Oh, special goal. Special goal. England 3-0. 25 minutes gone. Beautiful effort. Bronze had a look. Aluko in the middle. Finds Jordan Nobbs. First touch wasn't great. She's still in there, though. Little check back. Got very tight. Carney on a hat-trick. Gets it. 4-0 England. Carney. Dowie off the bar and in! With her first chance since coming on, she scores. Right again, looking for Dowie. Luko's in the middle, and it is 6 this time. Terrific performance by the England women's team.
The players tried to implement what we've worked on all week, but in all fairness, what they've been working on for years, and it was a much better reflection of their abilities.
I think it was comfortable and it was convincing. I think my smile says it all. I've not been able to smile after a game of football for a long time. So, fantastic win. I thought we played really well. I thought we looked sharp. I thought we moved the ball well and scored some fantastic goals. So, for confidence and stuff, and we probably should have scored at least 4 or 5 more. So, yeah, it's a great result going into the game Thursday.
Lucy, did you feel like you might have had a point to prove today?
A little bit. I think all the girls did, to be honest. Even the ones that played in the Euros. I think we just wanted to go out and show that we can be a good team and we can play well and we can score goals, and that's what we did.
What's changed since Sweden? Is it simply that there are more players back who aren't injured?
Well, it was nice this week to have everyone fit. But I think sometimes, it goes up and down. And I mean, we had a torrid time in the summer. It was hard work for all of us. We all go away and learn, and we come back and refocus to try to get to the next World Cup.
England's next World Cup qualifier against Turkey takes place along the south coast at Fratton Park, Portsmouth, on Thursday evening, live on BBC Three from 7 o'clock. And Scotland's women play their first home qualifier the same evening against Bosnia-Herzegovina. That's live on BBC Alba from 7:35. There's been a goal at St James's Park and Newcastle fans are not happy, Richard Askham.
No, they're not. It's a nervy first few minutes for Newcastle, and Hull City have capitalised on that with a goal. Ahmed El Mohammadi, unmarked in the box. It was a free kick from Robbie Brady from quite a distance out far on the left, completely unmarked, and he nodded it, El Mohammadi, in off a post. Tim Krul standing still watching it, and Hull City have an equaliser.
And it's not just the fans who are upset with that goal. Tim Krul, the Newcastle United goalkeeper, absolutely furious with his back four. Let's go to the Championship. There has been a very big goal at Pride Park. Peter Slater.
Very big goal for Reading, who are 1-0 up in the second minute of the second half, and a very big goal for Pavel Pogrebniak. Might have had me earlier on saying he hadn't scored since January the 12th, 16 matches. It was a free kick which Derby failed to deal with. He poked it home from only a yard out. He won't mind. Big goal for him. Derby 0, Reading 1.
Can you understand Tim Krul's frustration, Martin?
Oh, absolutely. But it's a free kick in a wide position. El Mohammadi makes a run, unopposed. There's no one in the space. Often from the first defender, you'll put somebody in the hole, because that's where teams are aiming, putting the ball in with pace, and he's got no chance for the finish. It's sloppy, start of a second half. Everything being said in the dressing room is all nice to the players. They come out, they let you down. That's where you need your leaders in those sorts of situations.
As a centre-forward, it's a great goal. As a centre-forward, he's done great.
It's the right back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not a great free kick. It's not a great free kick at all, but what he does, he anticipates going across the defender.
Yeah.
I used to try and get across Martin all the time. We just put a clothesline up. I never got there. You've got to get past.
Where did he hit you? Because we did this demonstration on a beach in Brazil in the Confederations Cup. I've still got the bruises to show for
You're giving people the wrong impression of me.
If this wasn't a family show, I'd show you the bruises. Because they're all his. But what he's done is got across his man and he's got himself into an area where it's really difficult to score a goal because he's beyond the near post. He's
gambled, isn't he?
Just put enough on it. Fantastic header.
Torquay 3-1 up at home to Cheltenham. Carl Hawley on 49 minutes. Tomorrow lunchtime, a new show joins the BBC array of weekend football offerings.
Let's get straight down to it. It's a Stonewall penalty.
And you go like that. Yeah. That is wrong. You deserve to be sent off.
He can head the ball, he can dribble with the ball.
What a story. I'd love to see Sturridge fit and started.
Typical Mourinho. We didn't start the story. Saying it all now.
What time is it?
And Match of the Day 2 Extra will be broadcast simultaneously on BBC Radio 5 Live. Match of the Day 2 itself is back at 10:25 tomorrow evening on BBC One. 4 excellent games, all featuring teams victorious in Europe in midweek. Arsenal v Stoke City, Palace Swansea City, Cardiff City Tottenham Hotspur, and a first Manchester derby for Messrs Pellegrini and Moyes. What a show that's going to be. Did I see a shot of you on that little trail there getting up and throwing an elbow?
Yeah, it just so happened to be Robbie Savage sat down as well.
That was handy. Oh, I can't believe it.
Oh, yes.
Terrific. Right, let's look ahead to the Manchester derby just before we go back around the grounds. Who do you fancy tomorrow?
I feel Man City will do enough to win this game. Although I like the fact that that when you're looking at Manchester United, the way that Rooney now has been pulled round, great that Moyes has done that. But I just feel Man City at home, they're starting to click. Yaya Touré in midweek scoring a wonderful goal. I feel Man City home advantage for me.
I think Dion will disagree.
I do disagree, yeah. I think United have got something going incredibly well at the moment. I think Rooney's now back on song. As Martin said, City not quite clicked yet, and I don't think they'll click tomorrow because I think United will be in their faces. I really do. I don't think they'll sit and wait for them to play. I think it'll be one of those ones. Loggerheads.
OK. Right, there have been so many goals in the Championship. It's quite incredible, to be perfectly honest with you. And there's another one for Tony Husband at the Amex.
And Brighton are level. It looks like it's going to go down as another own goal. Remember, Ed Lopez in the first half, which put the bottom side Bolton in front. This one, a Lualua free kick. I think Jay Spearing has headed this past his own goal. He'd also given away the free kick, but Andrew Cross is trying to claim it. Whatever happens, it's 1-1.
Liverpool have not scored a second-half goal this season. Damian Johnson.
They've not been that convincing in the second half, actually, either. They had the goalkeeper to thank and also to blame in part as Southampton have taken the lead. It was a corner on the left-hand side, floated into the area, and the last man to get the touch was Dejan Lovren, a header which Liverpool couldn't deal with. And not against the run of play, because Southampton have pressed in this second half. They lead. It's 1-0 Southampton.
Right, OK, so we're only just looking at the replay there. You're shaking your head.
Well, I mean, we've got 4 central defenders playing for Liverpool here, and there's a set piece coming in, and he reacts quickest. It bounces on the goal line, and the player on the line actually puts it into the net. But very sloppy at the start. We talked already about conceding goals at the start of the second half, and it's a ball that's just headed in. The goal that the player on the line should be doing, I think it's Steven Gerrard.
Is it Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, he drops back in onto the post, and then, I mean, he's not at the post to start with, but once he gets there, you're hoping that he clears it, but there's too much pace on the ball.
Yeah, at this point, Dion, both unbeaten records will be going because Everton are behind at West Ham United, but it is pretty poor defending. Maybe that's why Brendan Rodgers is playing down the title.
I think once the ball goes into, whether it's an attacking area or a defending area, it's all about, you know, I want to win this one, I want to score a goal, or I want to defend. And what happened there, he's just shown that he wants to get to that ball first. You say, defend the first one. If you don't defend the first one, defend the second one, and Liverpool didn't do either.
Millionaire, another great save there. I mean, this is not a lucky... They're winning 1-0 at the moment, but they've given a great account of themselves. Really pressed high. They keep doing that's a theme of their play. It's a very close game. Liverpool need to respond now. If you want to be champions, you have to show character and personality. We'll see if they've got it. OK, let's go to the Championship, because Birmingham City have suffered their worst start for 25 years. But Seth Bennett, all different today.
Very different. Birmingham City 4, Sheffield Wednesday 0. 4 goals on debut for Manchester United youngster Lingard. An incredible start to his Birmingham City life. Jesse Lingard, the 4th, pulled back by Burke, and he volleyed it from about 12 yards into the back of the net. Clinical stuff. 4-0.
And the Championship goals keep coming. Alan Biggs.
Yes, it's Doncaster Rovers 2, Nottingham Forest 1. The home team back in front here, and it was the scorer of the first who's doubled his account. What a home debut for Federico Macheda. 2 goals already for Doncaster Rovers. This was a relatively easy, close-range conversion, but Forest losing possession in midfield, and great work, as per the first Doncaster goal, by Theo Robinson, breaking. He found Wellens to the right. Wellens' cross converted by Macheda. Doncaster 2, Forest 1.
Well, we've been talking about managers under pressure. Dougie Freedman is one of them. Tony Husband.
Yes, his side, who are bottom of the table, have now conceded 2 in 4 minutes after Brighton equalised to the spearing own goal. They take the lead through Calderon, cross from the right-hand side. He's reached for it. The ball's almost behind him and volleyed it in, right-footed. Brighton 2, Bolton 1.
Tony, thank you. Let's go back to the Premier League. Let's go to Upton Park and Mark Webber. Liverpool behind. Their unbeaten record under threat, and Everton's.
The good news for Everton fans, Lukaku and McCarthy have come on, and they've made a difference. Lukaku really getting his strength into the box, putting in some good crosses to Morales as well, nearly scored in the first couple of minutes actually, and they're going forward more. The bad news, Leon Osman has had a knock to his groin and is off, and he's been substituted by Oviedo. Looked quite nasty, he was off, so the subs are definitely getting some play time today. Sam Allardyce has gone red as a claret. Why? There'll be lots of refereeing decisions in today's match of the day, which will be well worth discussing from both sides, to be fair. But Lee Mason's not got friends on either side at the moment, because he's making some decisions which a lot of the fans on both sides are disagreeing about. At the moment, though, Everton's still looking for that goal. They are 1-0 down.
Well, Roberto Martinez ringing the change at half-time. Brendan Rodgers doing the same at Anfield, Martin.
Yeah, Enrique's coming on at left-back, and they need to do that. He's all about playing, and your fullbacks need to be your best servers, you know. The modern-day fullback gets forward, gets your crosses in. Soko playing there in the first half, it just wasn't happening. So he's made a big change there, and that will give them a lot more going forward. OK, another goal at the Amex for Tony Husband, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
Big turnaround here, 3 goals in 5 second-half minutes. It's Will Buckley now. Good finish from the edge of the penalty area, and Bolton, remember, could be on the way to their worst start to a season for half a century. They're 3-1 down now.
And defeat for Bolton Wanderers would be their worst start in 50 years. That pressure mounting on Dougie Freedman. Back to the Premier League. Let's go to Ivan Gaskell at the Hawthorns. What did Paolo Di Canio say at half-time? I wonder, Ivan.
Yes, we can only wonder. I did say to somebody at half-time, wouldn't you just love to be a fly on the wall of the Sunderland dressing room? He's a ball of pent-up fury and frustration. I don't know what the Italian word for frustration is, but I think he's certainly described it in his half-time team talk. But it's not had a great effect, I've got to say, in this second half. So far, so average from both sides. It's all a bit flat and no real spark. West Brom hanging on to a 1-0 lead, but not really doing a great deal to extend it, whereas Sunderland too, not really putting West Brom under a great deal of pressure. West Brom, in fact, on the verge of a first win in 9 matches and aiming for a 4th successive win against Sunderland. What have we got? About half an hour or so to go, and it's still West Brom leading by the only goal of the game by Mr. Sessegnon.
Mr. Sessegnon, thank you very much indeed. Let's go to Hewish Park and Hamish Marshall. Yeovil Town yet to score at home this season, but they must be playing well, holding the league leaders.
Yeah, I talked about 2 excellent Rob Green saves in the Queen's Park Rangers goal in the first half. Well, we've had another to his left to deny Joe Rose early in the second half. I think it's a sign of how worried Harry Redknapp's getting. He was in his seat throughout the first half. He's got to his feet in the second. Remember, he had a knee injury over the summer. It's a sign that things aren't going as well as he would like. Queen's Park Rangers, as you say, being held. Yeovil 0, QPR 0, an hour played.
And given that Queen's Park Rangers are being held, that would mean that Durham Tanner Blackpool will go top of the table if they win today at Bloomfield Road.
Yes, and it's a big if at the moment. They lead Leicester City by 1-0, but we're seeing the best session of play from Leicester City. It's wave after wave of attack, and Blackpool are on the back foot at the moment, trying to withstand all that. Perhaps it's only a question of time before we see another goal. May just put the markers on that one, but it's 1-0 to Blackpool at the moment.
In the Scottish Premiership, Paul Heffernan has scored for Hibs at home to St Mirren. I'm going to take you back to Ellen Road. Harry Gratian.
I'll tell you something, Jason. Burnley playing some lovely stuff. One move on 52 minutes summed out. 5 players involved. Vokes shot just wide. Ings had a shot as well, which brought a brilliant save from Kenny. Leeds' best chance, Pierce close with a cross. He didn't quite get his head into it. It's all Burnley, to be honest, though. They lead 2-0.
And what of Paul Dickov's Doncaster Rovers, Alan Biggs?
They still lead by 2-1. Here they're making a substitution. Wabara coming off. Quinn is coming on. Nottingham Forest, as they were when they fell behind in the first half, are looking particularly dangerous. I wouldn't like to call this one, but it remains 2-1 Doncaster.
Right, there has been a goal for Mark Webber. Dion Dublin says, oh, what a goal, Leighton Baines. Mark Webber, tell us all about it.
Oh, he's right to say, oh, what a goal, Leighton Baines, because that's exactly what's happened. West Ham United won, Everton won, and the reason it's a cracking goal is because he's taking a free kick outside the area. He steps up and he strikes it beautifully into the top left-hand corner. Jääskeläinen's been a star for this club in the past couple of weeks. Not even he could have stopped that one, to be honest with you. 1-1, left foot, brilliance.
And that is why the champions of England wanted him.
And why not? You know, he's hardly struck the ball. He's just placed into an area where the keeper can't get to. He's a genius at that. His left foot's a wand, and any team with any nous, and Man United have got a lot of nous, would want that kind of player in their side.
He's probably the best at that conventional, you know, clipping it, bending it into the corner. A lot of them now are hitting the ball down onto the ball, you know, but he's got this old-fashioned way of bending it in, and he does 9 times out of 10 it's in the back of the net. Wonderful finish.
Yeah. He's the complete player, isn't he? He can do that.
He is, and I think he's the kind of player that you look to in the change rooms. You think, hold a minute, a bit of experience, does a good job for us, can get us a goal. Good player. Good player.
I've got to cut you off there, Dion. Don't like doing it, but I have to because there's been a goal for Peter Slater.
Pavel Pogrebniak hadn't scored since January the 12th. He's now scored 2 in 15 minutes. It's Derby 0, Reading 2. The first was a toe poke after Derby failed to deal with a free kick. The second, much more precise, drilled home from about 6 yards out after Derby failed to deal with a Reading corner. Reading on top second half after Derby dominated the first, and they've confirmed that with 2 goals in quarter of an hour. Derby 0, Reading 2.
Still without a home win, Derby County. What of Barnsley Watford? Naz Premji.
It's still Barnsley 1, Watford 3, 55 minutes on the watch here, Jason. We've got a stoppage in play to a Watford player. It's been end-to-end in this second period as well. Chances at both ends. The best, though, fell to Kelvin Atuhu for Barnsley. A cross-come shot which Manuel Almunia palmed in only Manuel Almunia style, basically. Just didn't look didn't know too much about the ball. Managed to somehow keep it out. It's exciting stuff. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 3.
Steve Sutton has seen a cracking game at the Riverside Stadium. Steve.
Yes, 2-2 at half-time, and after that blistering opening 12 minutes where Bournemouth were 2-0 up through 2 penalties, a little bit of a pedestrian start to this second half. It's still 2-2, no goals the second half. What's going on?
To Delith Lloyd at Ewood Park. Any sign of that goal, Delith?
Oh, no, unfortunately not. 58 minutes on the clock at the moment. Still Blackburn 0, Huddersfield 0. Huddersfield started the second half a little bit brighter. Paul Dixon down the left. His cross-come shot just skimming across the face of goal. Blackburn, though, resorting to trying from long distance. Corey Evans, though, his low right foot shot from distance, failing to hit the net. Still goalless.
Let's take you to League One and go to Steve Mayer, Bramall Lane.
Well, it's Sheffield United 0, Preston North End 0 here. Marlon King and Ryan Hall have been brought in by United in order to create more opportunities. That hasn't been the problem so far in this match. It's actually been putting them in. Tony McMahon has had 2 direct free kicks either side of the area, which have gone just wide. Fabian Brandy unmarked, miskicked 5 yards out of the far post. And at the other end, Kevin Davis tried a rather deft chip over the Sheffield United keeper, George Long, at the other end. But it wasn't, I'm afraid, deft enough. And that's why it's 0-0.
2 unbeaten sides at the top of League Two going head-to-head at the Kassam Stadium. Andy Barwell, how good is this one?
Well, it's now starting to open up into a good game, Jason, between these two sides. Chesterfield, though, still lead 1-0 thanks to that first half goal from Richie Humphreys. But the introduction of Sean Rigg back after his injury has certainly pepped up Oxford United. But Chesterfield so pacey on the counter. Gio O'Shea made Ryan Clark pull off a good stop. And good fortune for Oxford in the fact that no one from Chesterfield was following up. It remains Oxford United 0, Chesterfield 1.
Let's get the latest from the Scottish Premiership and Terry Butcher's league leaders. Inverness, Ailey Barber is at Pittodrie.
Well, Jason, the tempo in this one has dropped to somewhere between tortoise and snail's pace. It's turned very sloppy, far too many niggly free kicks to get any momentum going. In fact, the only shot we've had on target to talk about in this second half was a very sort of one from Billy Mackay, very easy for Jamie Langfield, straight into his arms. It's still Aberdeen 0, Inverness 0.
And how about Celtic after defeat in the San Siro in midweek? Roddy Forsyth?
Well, they started at a racing pace, as you heard earlier, but just as with Ailey at Pittodrie, the tempo has dropped considerably here, and that's because Celtic were 2 to the good midway through the first half and haven't had to break sweat since then to maintain their advantage. Timo Pukki putting them ahead after 10 minutes, and then Mulgrew with a raking shot from 25 yards doubled the advantage. Since then, Celtic look as though they're on a training session. It's Celtic 2, St Johnstone 0.
Right, OK, so what have you seen?
I'm watching Hull. They've just gone through on goal, one-on-one with Tim Krul. But Tim Krul, again, speaking about the goalkeepers, he's made a fantastic save.
It's a day for goalkeepers, isn't it?
Yeah, out to his left. It should have been, another goal for Hull, but
end-to-end that game, isn't it?
But Hull are actually, playing some really good stuff. Brucey Huddleston's sort of holding fort there, getting hold of the ball. He's a catalyst for Hull, making things happen. Good games today, some really good games.
I think the pleasing thing about the teams that are coming up, they're now trying to play more football. As we say, I think it's better for the development of our young players. Lots of talk about that at the moment, and much more pleasing on the eye. And Newcastle are in that period of really not knowing which direction they're going in. They lack confidence as a group. 1 minute they look like world beaters, next minute they're nervous, the crowd are getting on their back. So all credit to Hull today.
OK, for the moment, thank you very much. One man who, in all likelihood, will be on the bench at the Cardiff City Stadium tomorrow is Tottenham Hotspur's Jermaine Defoe. That's despite scoring twice in the Europa League this midweek. He's been sharing his frustration with Leon Mann.
What's the manager said about your role this season? What's he taken you aside and said to you?
He said that he wants me at the club.
Did that mean a lot of the time?
Yeah, it means a lot. But, I think I'm 30 now. Well, I know I'm 30 now. I hate to admit it, but it's important for me to play. But yeah, that's what the manager said. He said I want you at the club, and he said that to me last year. To be honest, when there's a lot of speculation as well last season, and he said the same thing: I want you at the club, I want you to play. I know you're going to score goals, and that's all he said really. But at the same time, as a player, obviously it's nice hearing that. but you want to see some. You want to play. But yeah, it's a long season. There's a long way to go. There's a lot of football to be played, and we'll see what happens.
Some players have made coming off the bench their thing. Is that a role that you would be happy doing for a team?
No, not at all. I don't want to be sitting on the bench and being an impact player, because at the end of the day you want to start games, and at times you come on and you can't make that impact that you would like to make, because it's difficult, But I don't want to be an impact player, because you want to play every game, you want to start games, and you might come off the bench and score 1 goal, but you might start the game, play 90 minutes and score 2. I'd rather do that.
In the World Cup year, you're 30, as you said. What does that mean for this season?
It means everything, because I've played in the World Cup before, and it's just the best thing in the world. But I understand that to get into the England squad, it's based on merit. You've got to play well, and as a forward, you've got to score goals. That's why it's even more important to me that I'm playing this year. But hopefully I can get myself back in the team.
Jermaine Defay talking to Leon Mann. Chaps, can you understand the frustration? Do you have sympathy with Jermaine?
Yeah, I do, because as a forward myself, that's what you want to do, start games, because it's really hard to get hit a purple patch if you're not playing, and you, like you say, being a bit part player, he doesn't want to be an impact player, he wants to start games and influence the way that his team play by getting it in and scoring goals. And I'd be exactly the same. I'd probably be a little bit more vocal than that and say, listen, I'm not having this. As a forward, you need to have games under your belt to get goals under your belt.
He looks like an angry man. He looks like he's fired up, but they've got him there. That's the good news. And he came on in midweek, played in the Europa Cup, scored 2 nice goals for his team. That's where he does his talking on the pitch. But he's had an opportunity to give an interview, and he's letting people know how he really feels. But while he's a Tottenham player, I think he's a great addition to their squad. And who knows, if he can go in and cement his position, then he stays in the side. But for the summer, he goes to the World Cup, whether he plays regularly or not for Tottenham.
The clever thing is,
for me, he does, because we're so short of strikers.
I agree, completely agree.
And he's sharp enough to do that.
Because obviously that's what's fueling the anger. Yes. He's worried if he doesn't get on the pitch regularly in the Premier League, albeit he might get game time in the Europa League, it's going to damage his chances.
You don't want him to be complacent. You want him
No.
to be unhappy when he's not in the side. And he's got the right attitude to it, which is why he did so well when he played in midweek.
No, I agree.
Right, OK, thank you very much indeed. We're going to go back to the Barclays Premier League and find out how Liverpool are getting on with Damien Johnson.
Well, there's still trails of that Dion Lovren goal, but it's a more stretched game, more open, chances at both ends. You said it was an afternoon for goalkeepers. We've seen a triple save from Simon Mignolet to deny Stephen Davis, who ran through at the heart of the defence. The ball bobbled around. He got the final contact, and then Mignolet 3 times denied him as the ball ricocheted around the penalty area. At the other end, Raheem Sterling with a thrilling run down the right, and Kolo Touré, a real man possessed down the right, getting forward all the time, supporting the front players. Liverpool pushing for some kind of equaliser, but they trail still 1-0.
That would be a terrific scoreline from Mauricio Pochettino. Right, what a goal this is. Let's go to Seth Bennett at St Andrews.
Birmingham 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. The Owls' response a little too late, I think. A header from Kamil Zayati after Stephen McPhail's curling free kick picked him out in the area. That, of course, is in response to the 4 goals from the debutant Jesse Lingard. Birmingham still lead by 4-1.
What about the other Sheffield club, Steve Mayers at Bramall Lane?
Well, they're now losing, Jason. It's Sheffield United 0, Preston North End 1. A goal by Stuart Bevan. It's really come against the run of play. It's a rare opportunity for Preston, but Bevan put it away after persistence by Kevin Davis just inside the area. It's Sheffield United 0, Preston 1.
Into the Premier League, Mark Webber's Upton Park.
Ricardo Vazte has come on for West Ham. He's replaced Jarvis, put on the shirt. He actually got a round of applause, bearing in mind what had happened with him possibly leaving. He seems to have wanted to play and get on with it, and he's already played a part in the game. Everton had a Baines free kick wide. Barkley shot wide, but they are pushing forward more than West Ham now. The Lukaku man making the difference.
And Newcastle United also pushing for a winner at St James's. Richard Ascombe.
Yes, they are, Jason, but as the chaps were saying in the studio, it's been a rather frustrating afternoon for Newcastle. Hull City have gradually wrestled some control in midfield through Jake Livermore and Tom Huddleston. Alan Pardew has made a change to try and find the breakthrough. Johan Gouffran is on, and what that has meant is that Loic Remy is playing a more central position. Johan Kabay, incidentally, when he went off, received an excellent reception from the Newcastle crowd. But overall, Hull City are frustrating Newcastle, and they're restricting them to the odd chance, but they're not really building up any pressure.
not goal news, but we're going to go to the Hawthorns because Stephen Fletcher is flat out Ivan Gascoigne.
Yes, he is. We're fast approaching the last quarter of an hour here at the Hawthorns, and in fact Fletcher is wounded in action, so to speak, after he very nearly levelled it for Sunderland, and you could argue that he should have done. He was under pressure from Olsen, bravely I suppose, as strikers would do, pounced on the opportunity, volleyed it from close range over the crossbar, but in so doing I think Olsen caught him and Fletcher went rolling. He'd scored 3 goals in his previous 4 outings against West Brom, and a former Wolves player, as I mentioned earlier, as you can imagine, that would have gone down like a lead balloon here. Indeed, in fact, Fletcher has gone down pretty heavily himself, and Fletcher, well, the stretcher is out for him. At the other end, well, Anelka should have done better. It should have been out of sight this game, but he steered a header wide of a post when really well placed, and he's subsequently been replaced by Victor Anichebe. So we're still West Brom 1, Sunderland 0 here. Fletcher groggily getting back to his feet.
Ivan, thank you very much indeed for the update. Didn't look good.
No, I can relate to that. It happened to me, 3 months ago. I dislocated my collarbone, and then I had pins and plates put in, and then I dislocated it again. So for the last, 3 months, I've been nursing a collarbone, and I know exactly how Stephen Fletcher's feeling. Looks like he's done he's in pain. He's an old-fashioned centre forward who doesn't mind getting stuck in. He'll score goals. Di Canio's, he doesn't know what to do now. He's looking around.
Di Canio's on the sideline.
Body language.
The histrionics from Di Canio.
Okay. Listen, there's a penalty. Let's go to Mark Webber. What's going on, Mark?
It has fallen to West Ham. Kevin Nolan brought down in the area. Very late tackle, in my opinion, and I think Lee Mason's definitely got this right. We are now waiting for the moment for somebody to step up and make this possibly 2-1 to West Ham. The man who has that lucky task, the regular Mark Noble, just stepping back now on the edge of the D. Everybody's getting behind the line. Lee Mason sorting them out. He's eyeing the ball. Here we go. Right foot and easily past Howard. Howard goes the wrong way, and West Ham take the lead again at 2-1.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to the boys about that penalty incident in just a moment, but also there's been a goal at the top of the championship. Hamish Marshall.
And it's another penalty instant as well. Let me tell you, Queen's Park Rangers lead by 1-0. Charlie Austin from the penalty spot. Austin was the man who the referee had judged should have been fouled by Jamie McAllister. For my eyes, it was a very soft penalty kick. It's gone totally against the run of play. QPR's best player has been goalkeeper Rob Green, but Charlie Austin has them 1-0 up, 15 minutes to play.
And another penalty incident at Blackpool, and this is a big goal, Durham Tanner, because Leicester City are piling the pressure on Blackpool and also Queen's Park Rangers at the top.
Yeah, make that 2 goals because we've just seen an absolutely fantastic hit from King. So from 1-0 down in the space of 70 seconds, Leicester make it 2-1. Firstly, Broadfoot upended Drinkwater. That was the penalty. Konchesky sending Gilks the wrong way. And then just moments ago before you came to me, Leicester fans around me are absolutely going wild as King unleashed a volley that went flying past Gilks. It's Blackpool 1, Leicester 2.
Oh dear, Sunderland fans, it's not going well at the Hawthorns, Ivan Gaskell.
If Di Canio was a pent-up ball of fury before, you should see him now. He is beside himself. Not only has he seen his only real threatening striker, Steve Fletcher, go off, with his team already having used all of their subs, so they're now down to 10 men. Within 2 minutes of that, West Brom have taken a further lead that extended it to 2-0. Ridgewell it was at the far post, flying in. The volley was unstoppable. It went in fact, I think off a Sunderland defender, but he couldn't do much about it. And Sunderland are right up against it now. They trail 2-0. They're down to 10 men because they've used their subs, and their main striker is off injured. Looks like nursing a broken collarbone of some description.
It's a depressing afternoon for football fans in the northeast because Richard Askham has seen a terrific goal and it's not gone to the home team.
Oh my word, Jason, an excellent goal. Hull City have battled throughout this game. They have sprung on the counter on the odd occasion, and they did for this goal as well. Sonny Aluko on the end of a George Boyd cross from the left, side-footed. He met it perfectly, in off a post again, and Hull City lead by 3-2 at St James's Park.
OK, where should we start? Let's start at Newcastle United, and Steve Bruce is dancing along the touchline. You've got to see this on Match of the Day tonight. And so he should, because It's a brilliant finish from Maluko.
It's absolutely incredible finish from a player that's missed opportunities. I mean, that's probably the hardest opportunity he's had this season. But he's on the edge of the box and he's kind of feathered it, volleyed into the top right-hand corner. Fantastic finish. Beautiful.
It's normally when the ball gets to a certain height and the ball comes close to you, you normally have to lean and strike it with your laces. He's actually sort of side-footed it from the edge of the box, stood up strong. It's a fantastic finish. Great technique, and Steve Bruce there doing some... I've seen the producer dance like that before. I've seen our producer dance
Is
like
that at the Christmas disco?
Oh,
yeah. Well, there we are. Let's talk about the West Ham penalty. Was it a penalty for you? Kevin Nolan went down?
We've not seen a replay of it. I'd like to see it again. Looked quite soft. And he got up very quickly, didn't he? Actually?
Yeah, he did.
But a great finish from the penalty spot, no doubt about it.
I mean, it's not like Kevin Nolan to stay on the floor anyway. If there's a touch we don't know, great penalty.
Yeah, and let's see what Everton have got now.
Completely.
Yeah. Good, OK, thank you very much indeed. Right, let's now get some reaction from today's early game. It was Norwich City versus Aston Villa, and let's hear from our match reporter. Oh, no, we're going to hear from Paul Lambert.
For the third time, Paul Lambert brings Aston Villa back. Dave, Weimann hit the post for Villa early on. Norwich pushed hard late, but couldn't find an equaliser. Norwich 0, Villa 1.
The last 3 times we've come down here, we've won 3 times, which is a great record. I know how hard it is playing here because the crowd make it pretty intimidating, but on a counter-attack, as I said before, we're an absolute threat, and the first couple of minutes we could have been 2 up. Brad makes a brilliant save from the penalty, but delighted with the team because we had a lot of niggles in there that I had to ask lads to go and play when they weren't fully fit. So credit to them and fantastic performance.
Really disappointing. I think sometimes when you come away from games, and as we did last week, and we didn't particularly deserve to get anything, but that wasn't the case today. I think on the balance of play, the opportunities that we had, we were up against a Villa side that have got good pace, and they're going to be very strong on their counter attack, and that's how we found them today. But we got into some really good areas, created some good chances.
You mentioned Brad Guzan. I mean, he was outstanding.
Oh, he's handling. I mean, that save I think from the header where he's tipped it over the bar was world class. And to be fair to Brad Guzan, since I've been at this football club, he has been so consistent in his performance. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers I think in the Premiership. But important as well, he's an absolute top guy.
You never want to face a penalty, and especially early on in the game. But fortunately for me, I was able to go the right way and make the save. So sometimes, I think Keown was a bit, stuck in terms of getting his hands out of the way. But you get on with it, and like I said, fortunately, I was able to make the save.
We got to Paul Lambert eventually. That was the delightful sound of Matchday commentator Steve Wilson, of course. There's lots of stuff going on. Mark Webber at Upton Park, fill us in. The boys are stamping their feet.
Oh, yeah, so they should be. The boys done it again. Wonder Boy Baines, a free kick. West Ham 2, Everton 2, and he's taken that one with aplomb as well. I'll leave Mr. Dublin to describe it, but it all comes about because Mark Noble judged to push Ross Barkley down on his second yellow card. He's at his marching orders, so West Ham are down to 10 now, and Baines, brilliant, 2-2.
Oh, it's a beautiful free kick.
I said to Martin, look at the keeper's left. It was because he doesn't have to hit it hard, so if you don't hit it hard, you can get it up and down very, very quickly. He just leaves it in an area where the keeper's never going to get there if there's no pace on it. Leighton Baines, 2 free kicks, just outstanding.
He's had to do this one slightly different. He just adjusted a little bit because it's a little bit closer. But
as you can see,
adjustment.
the hand movement.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about, but also, did you see the sending off? Did you see the Mark Noble incident?
Definitely
what happened?
A sending off. Ross Barkley trying to run through. Noble brings him down.
Straight red?
No complaints. I don't believe it was a straight red. I think it was 2 yellows.
Right, OK. All right. Thank you very much indeed. Right, let's go to Ellen Road and Harry Gratian.
Game on here, Jason. Arfield and Vokes, first half goals from Burnley, and now on 78 minutes, a header from the substitute Matt Smith opens this one up. Leeds 1, Burnley 2.
Thank you very much indeed. At the top of the Scottish Premiership, goal for Ailey Barber.
Yes, and it's not one for the league leaders. It's Aberdeen who have taken the lead here. Scott Vernon, he's only been on the pitch for around 3 minutes and he made his presence felt. He controlled a cross beautifully on his chest, then volleyed on the turn perfectly placed into the bottom corner. Not long for Inverness Galley to try and scrape something back out of this. It's all Aberdeen at the moment. It's Aberdeen 1, Inverness 0.
Right, OK, so that hands the initiative to Celtic. Roddy Forsyth.
Where another substitute, but this time for St Johnstone, has also scored. Liam Caddis, as St Johnstone suddenly discovered a life and energy that had eluded them for 70 minutes, getting in at the back post, forcing the ball over the line, then getting involved in a melee with Celtic keeper Fraser Forster, who was trying to hang on to the ball, and eventually there was a little flurry of yellow cards. Celtic 2, St Johnstone 1.
Oh, OK. I can't believe this. There's another goal at Upton Park from Mark Webber.
Oh, an utter thriller. West Ham United 2, Everton 3. Lukaku came on in the second half. He's the man who's put his bonds to it. Morales put the cross in. It was absolutely superbly taken. The sad moment, unfortunately, now is that Lukaku is down on the pitch, receiving attention. That's a bit of a sad moment. But what a comeback. As comebacks go, it don't get much better than this if it stays this way. West Ham United 2, Everton 3.
What a second half at Upton Park, and no wonder why the Everton fans are going absolutely crazy behind that goal.
No, just the response that you would expect. We're just watching the replay here. It's a cross that comes in, and Lukaku actually puts himself in a position where he's going to get hurt, but he wants to score the goal. And he's nodded it, going backwards, and as he's going backwards and heads it into the corner of the goal, there's a West Ham player going forwards, and it looks like they may have clashed heads.
Very nasty.
And he's not moved since he scored the goal, but a very, very brave finish.
We said Martinez needs to do something big at half-time.
Brave substitution.
Yes, he did. He changed the dynamic of the team. We said they're not ruthless enough in some of their earlier games. No point in beating Chelsea unless you go on the road and do well, and they've responded magnificently in the second half. But Leighton Baines' 2 free kicks are just top.
Yeah, let's get some details in the Championship on that goal at the keep mode from Alan Biggs.
Yes, Doncaster Rovers 2, Nottingham Forest 2, and for the second time, Forest have come from behind. It's been a frenzied second half assault from them, led by Andy Reid with a fusillade of attempts from outside the area, and finally, after being unlucky 2 or 3 times, he's found the target from 25 yards. Macedo thought he might have won the match for Doncaster, very much the hero with both goals for them. He was substituted to a standing ovation, but since then, Forest levelling at 2 apiece.
Steve Sutton, my sincere apologies. We were supposed to come to you about 5 minutes ago when you had a goal, but it all happened at Upton Park. Fill us in.
Yes, the afternoon of comebacks continues at the Riverside. Middlesbrough 3, Bournemouth 2. Remember, Middlesbrough were 2-0 down to 2 early penalties from Brett Pittman, but they now lead 3-2 Leadbitter with the leading goal.
Peter Slater's got to bring us right up to date. There have been goals at Pride Park.
Not quite a comeback yet, but Derby have won back. The frustration growing amongst the crowd of 21,500 as Reading took a 2-0 lead, both from Pogrebniak. But young Will Hughes, the darling of the Pride Park crowd, curled in a beauty 9 minutes from time. It's Derby 1, Reading 2.
Romelu Lukaku looks really groggy at West Ham United. He's being treated by 3 Everton medics, but the good news is he's on his feet. Let's go to Oakwell, where there has been a goal. Naz Premji, what a game.
What a game indeed, and Football League show essential viewing tonight for this goal from Keown. He's run the length of the pitch, dribbled past tackle and player, got to the area and fired the ball past Luke Steele. It's the best goal of the 6 we've had. Take a bow, Keown. It's Barnsley 1, Watford 5.
Thank you very much indeed. You just get the feeling. Some afternoons you have to take a breath and just reflect on what's happened in the last 5 minutes, especially in the Premier League.
Without doubt. I mean, listen, we haven't spoken much about Sunderland and their situation and their plight. West Brom, that's a magnificent win for them today. Sessegnon going, against his old club. Ironic. We said really he shouldn't be allowing your best player, I feel he was his best player, to go to a club like that. Di Canio feeling the world, and his man is against him. So there's big problems at that club. Newcastle as well at home, struggling. Should be beating a team like Hull. Fantastic result if they can pull that off today. But, looking at Southampton also, there's been incredible results. And Everton, you'd have thought they would have won that game going into it. But winning it the way they are was remarkable.
Let's just have a quick chat then, seeing as you brought it up. Very good point on Paolo Di Canio. Dion, what have you made of the way that Paolo Di Canio has conducted himself in public? Criticising, there's no other word for it really, criticising his players in public, and he continues to do so.
Yeah, I don't know if the interview was very close to a bad result, but it sounded like a frustrated interview where he was venting everything out in the open, which is for me as a player, an ex-player, it's not the way I want my manager to speak about his players. He has every right to speak the way he does, you know, that's his prerogative. Like I said before, I would expect if anybody's going to criticise the players, it should be a player. It should be the captain, it should be the vice-captain that says, listen, we weren't good enough today. I think he's just frustrated with the players that he's got. The quality that he has isn't giving him what he wants, and he's getting more and more frustrated. We've seen that Fletcher's been injured today, and he's looking round to his bench.
It'd be interesting.
Another thing gone wrong.
It'd be interesting what he says today after today's match. I don't think he can come for his players. I think they actually were unlucky at times. And the things have gone against him today. So I expect him to be supportive of his players, and he has to be if he wants to get them to play for him and play well for him in the future.
OK, talking of teams in the North East, a goal for Steve Sutton.
Yes, it's Middlesbrough 3, Bournemouth 3. What a game this is. 6 goals, the sixth of them an own goal from Jonathan Woodgate, trying to cut out a cross, forcing it over his own line. 3-3.
Thank you very much. And you just pointed out, Dion, that Stefan Sessegnon is being applauded by the Sunderland fans.
He is as well. He's coming off now for West Brom. Not sure who's going on, but I just caught out the corner of my eye there that all the red and whites were clapping as well as the blue and whites, and it's a great send-off for him.
He didn't celebrate his goal, incidentally.
Yeah, let's go back to Paolo Di Canio very briefly. I just want to pick out this quote that I found this week from a news conference. Dion and Martin, he says, the players have to feel a responsibility. They are adult footballers. They have to have the desire and the courage to say, yes, we lost, but I'm sure I did my best. Can you make any sense of that?
Well, what he's trying to listen, for me, you can't make a separation between the players and the staff. We're all in this together. We win together, we take the plaudits. The criticism has to come if it doesn't go well. And that's what he's trying to do. And at times he goes to the fans, he says it's my fault, he goes to the microphone and he hammers his players. You can't do that. You've got to keep it inside. It didn't seem to affect them today in the way that they played, but they're not getting the breaks and they're sloppy at times. And I wonder sometimes, do you give that little bit more, that 10% more to a manager that you really appreciate and respect, and do you lose that respect from the players?
It is difficult. It is difficult for a player to actually go and play for a manager if he keeps criticising you. They're not good enough and they haven't done this. And, you know, blood, sweat and tears should be a gimme for a footballer. That's what you do. That's what you're paid to do. You're paid to work hard for that football club. They pay your wages. And if they're not doing that, he's got every right. But, you know, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. I just think he has to be very, very careful not to lose the dressing room.
And he takes a huge part in this. He has to take his responsibility. He should never be allowing Sessegnon to go to a club like West Bromwich Albion.
Right, OK. We were going to go to Upton Park. We'll go there in just a moment, but there's been a sending off. I want to go to Steve Sutton first. Steve.
Yes, Middlesbrough down to 10 men. The captain, Rhys Williams, with the second yellow card. So that's Middlesbrough down to 10 men. The score 3-3.
What a chance. Right, OK, we're going to go back then to Richard Askham. They're into injury time in perhaps the game of the day in the Barclays Premier League. Let's go live to Richard at St James's Park. What's happening, Rich?
Jason, who would you want a chance to fall to in this game if you were a Newcastle United fan? Loic Remy, absolutely deadly with his 2 goals in the first half. It fell to him at a difficult angle, yes, but only about 6 yards out, on his right foot, on the volley, and he stabbed it wide. Perhaps that is the last chance into added time now for Newcastle to rescue a point.
Right, having said that, another game of the day. Mark Webber at Upton Park.
As breathless as a Jackie Collins novel, and 7 minutes of added time still to come because of that knock of heads between Joey O'Brien of West Ham and Lukaku of Everton. And Lukaku was looking a bit concussed. I am absolutely amazed he's back on the field, but he's back on fighting for every ball. There was blood down Joey O'Brien. It was absolutely a head-on clash when he went for that goal, and there's no giving up on either side. None of them want to lose this, but at the moment you have to say, I think Everton are on the verge of a classic comeback at 2-3.
A fascinating insight into the literature collection of Mark Webber, as breathless as a Jackie Collins novel, and I thought he was into the history of political thought. Let's go to Durham Tanner at Bloomfield Road.
We have a penalty late in the game. We're inside time added on. Schmeichel upending Blackpool player in the box, which means that Tom Ince will line up to take what is possibly going to be one of the last kicks of the game. Remember, Blackpool led 1-0, then Leicester scored twice in 70 seconds to turn it to 2-1. And now it's Tom Ince looking down, trying to settle his thoughts. Make sure that he gets something in on this. Ince against Schmeichel, and he scores!
The roar around you will tell you that they've rescued it late in the game. Tom Ince scores, Blackpool 2, Leicester City 2.
Dion, I'm going to give you the opportunity to just tell the nation what you just said to Martin and I in the studio.
Yeah, Schmeichel against Ince.
Brilliantly done.
Straight to me, I thought, well, who's going to win this battle of wills?
And Bruce is winning at Newcastle.
Yeah, very good, Martin Keown. You should come again, you two. Let's go to West Brom, and Ivan Gaskell has a goal.
That sound you can hear is West Brom fans celebrating and a shuffling noise to the exits for Sunderland supporters because they're leaving their hordes, their droves. They've seen their side outplayed here and beaten 3-0 with just a minute or so of added time. Morgan Amalfitano, one of the less sung, less heralded new signings here, who's been a man of the match on this occasion and has wrapped it up and iced the cake with a late goal to wrap it up for West Brom. They lead 3-0 and Mr. Di Canio has a long journey home to ponder it.
Rich denied Steven Gerrard with a flying save to keep out his long-range free kick. Leveron struck in the second period, a towering header from a right-wing corner. Gerrard failing to deal with it on the goal line. Liverpool grew increasingly ragged in possession. Stephen Davis, through on goal for Southampton, was denied 3 times by the sprawling Simon Mignolet in the Liverpool goal. Liverpool's shortcomings summed up late on. Raheem Sterling threw down the middle, but a heavy touch, and the chance was gone. Southampton good value for a memorable victory.
Liverpool's unbeaten record is over. Let's go to the Scottish Premiership. How did the leaders Inverness do today, Ailey? Did they come back, Ailey Barber?
It's another unbeaten run ended up here in Aberdeen as Inverness have fallen to their first defeat of the season. It was substitute Scott Vernon who inflicted the damage. He'd been on the pitch for just 3 minutes before his volley on the turn smashed into the bottom corner of the net. It was a rare moment of brilliance in a fairly dour and turgid 90 minutes. Inverness had keeper Dean Brill to thank for keeping things level as long as it was, as he thwarted Cammy Smith and then Michael Hector. But it was a very out of sorts Inverness today, and they paid the price. No longer do they hold the outright leads at the top of Scottish football. It finished Aberdeen 1, Inverness 0.
There's been a very late goal in the Championship for Peter Slater.
Stoppage time, we still have a minute left, but it's tied it up for Reading. They now lead Derby by 3-1. Derby pressing forward, and typical Reading goal on the break. Nick Blackman putting the ball into that net. So 2 for Pogrebniak, 1 for Blackman, Hughes for Derby, the team who can do no wrong away from home and perform poorly at home. Looks like it's going to finish Derby 1, Reading 3.
And his 2 breathtaking free kicks were never going to be stopped, even by a keeper of Jaskalainen's quality. West Ham fans will go away bereft and upset here. They've lost the game, but by goodness me, Everton have won one. West Ham United 2, Everton 3.
Terrific.
Left met with a lovely controlled side foot volley that gave Tim Krul no chance. Newcastle fans look as though they've forgiven Johan Cabaye. He was applauded when substituted. They could be forgiven though for thinking Loic Remy should have rescued a point at the end, but from close range he stabbed it wide.
Richard, thank you very much. Let's go to the top of the Championship. An ominous sign for the rest of the clubs in the Championship. Queen's Park Rangers have won today, Hamish Marshall.
Yeah, they've won at Yeovil by 1-0. It keeps them on top and Yeovil near the bottom. The home side, no goals and no points here at home. Yeovil must be wondering what they have to do to get any sort of a result. They were better in all fronts today, but came up against Rob Green with an inspired display in the Rangers goal. That's nearly 10 hours now since he conceded. The game was ultimately won by Rangers' only effort on target, a Charlie Austin penalty after what we could describe as not the strongest claim to my eyes, but it's enough for the points.
Burnley's excellent start to the season continues. Harry Gratian.
You know, Jason, there's a quality about Burnley this season you just can't ignore. Arfield and Vokes' first half goals were deserved. Their football at times a delight. And so too was the performance of their goalkeeper Tom Heaton. 2 brilliant saves from Varney and Diouf were as good as you get anywhere. And although Matt Smith got one back for Leeds with 10 minutes left, Burnley get the points and a rare victory at Ellen Road.
And an excellent game at Bloomfield Road for Derm Tanner.
Yes, a late penalty taken and scored by Tom Ince, rescued a point for Blackpool. That after Kasper Schmeichel had clumsily upended Mackenzie. Before that, Leicester thought they had all the points. After 2 goals in 67 seconds of the second half, a Konchesky penalty and Andy King thumper from outside the box, which had overturned a first-half Blackpool lead. Always exciting, always fast-moving. Both sides did enough to win it, though Leicester City will feel a bit more frustrated. Blackpool 2, Leicester 2.
The Football League show will be terrific tonight because Alan Biggs saw another great game at the Keep Mode.
Yeah, this was two apiece as well between Doncaster and Nottingham Forest. For me, just about a fair result after a truly pulsating game. It was watched by over 12,000, including a 4,000 following from Nottingham, who saw their side trail twice. Both the goals from Doncaster's Makeda, their loanee from Manchester United, but Forest recovered on each occasion. Fine strikes in each case as well by Chris Keown and Andy Reid. There were chances for either team to win it, the best for Forest substitute Derbyshire, but with Makeda outstanding for Doncaster, it's finished very honourably at 2-2.
Let's take you to the top of the Scottish Premiership. Celtic now just one goal behind Inverness. Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, although they got a bad fright, did Neil Lennon's team. They came out at racing speed, got a goal from Timo Pukki, their summer signing from Schalke 04 after only 10 minutes, midway through the half, with St Johnstone simply unable to get into the Celtic half for any length of time. Mulgrew made it 2-0 with a one-touch, then left foot shot from 25 yards, and the procession continued well into the second half. But with 12 minutes to go, Saints suddenly erupted there. Their first proper shot and goal through Chris Miller, 1-on-1 with Forster. The goalkeeper saved at the expense of a corner, but he was beaten when Liam Caddis turned home at the back post. Then the man who's in line for a possible promotion for England in the #1 spot saved brilliantly from Mackay, but he was beaten by a McDonald header, not so the post, and that's what spared Celtic from a little embarrassment. Celtic 2, St Johnstone 1.
Back into the Championship, and Watford had not won at Oakwell for 13 years. They put an end to that dreadful record today, Naz.
They certainly have, Jason. Barnsley 1, Watford 5. The scoreline emphatic. The performance from Watford superb. Troy Deeney, David Faroni and Fernando Forestieri with the first three for Watford. Sean Murray then with a 25-yard daisy cutter, a super fourth. And the goal of the season for me so far, Ikecha Anya picked it up in his own half, ran the length of the pitch, beating defender and challengers galore, and then hit a shot past Luke Steele. 5 of the best for the Hornets. Scotland's goal, a mere consolation. Barnsley 1, Watford 5.
Very special goal there, but the story of the day in the Championship today, Seth Bennett at St Andrews.
Birmingham City have their first home win of the season thanks to a 4-1 victory over Sheffield Wednesday. Jesse Lingard arrived on loan from Manchester United this week and he made an instant impact. Lingard scored a first half 13-minute hat-trick to guarantee victory. The match ball was already his. Lingard, though, underlined his superhero status with a fourth, driving home Chris Burke's second half cross. Kamal Zayata scored one for Wednesday in response, but that did little to take the shine off the Jesse Lingard show. Remember the name. Birmingham 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1.
Excellent win for Birmingham City. All 6 of tonight's fantastic Premier League games feature in Match of the Day. BBC One, 10:30. A new show launches tomorrow lunchtime on BBC One and BBC Radio 5 Live. Match of the Day 2 Extra. We'll take a look back at today's talking points and look ahead to tomorrow afternoon's games. And action from all those big games, including that Manchester derby, will feature in Match of the Day 2 tomorrow night, 10:25 again on BBC One. So we'll get some reaction from the Barclays Premier League, all coming up after a full check on today's results with Mike West.
And opening with the Barclays Premier League, the match between Chelsea and Fulham, an evening kick-off at 5:30. Liverpool 0, Southampton 1. Newcastle United 2, Hull City 3. Norwich City 0, Aston Villa 1. West Bromwich Albion 3, Sunderland 0. And West Ham United 2, Everton 3. On to the Sky Bet Championship, Barnsley 1, Watford 5. Birmingham City 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Blackburn Rovers 0, Huddersfield Town 0. Blackpool 2, Leicester City 2. Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Bolton Wanderers 1. Charlton Athletic 0, Millwall 1. Derby County 1, Reading 3. Doncaster Rovers 2, Nottingham Forest 2. Leeds United 1, Burnley 2. Middlesbrough 3, AFC Bournemouth 3. And Yeovil Town 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1. The Sky Bet League 1, Colchester United 1, Crawley Town 1. Gillingham 0, Bradford City 1. Notts County 2, Tranmere Rovers 0. Oldham Athletic 1, Crewe Alexandra 1. Peterborough United 2, Milton Keynes Dons 1. Port Vale 3, Coventry City 2. Sheffield United 0, Preston North End 1. Shrewsbury Town 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Stevenage 1, Carlisle United 3. Swindon Town 3, Bristol City 2. And Walsall 1, Rotherham United 1. The Sky Bet League 2, Accrington Stanley 1, Rochdale 2. AFC Wimbledon 3, Burton Albion 1. Bristol Rovers 2, Hartlepool United 2. Bury 1, Southend United 1. Exeter City 0, Newport County 2. Mansfield Town 3, Northampton Town 0. Morecambe 2, Dagenham and Redbridge 2. Oxford United 0, Chesterfield 1. Portsmouth 0, Fleetwood Town 1. Scunthorpe United 1, Plymouth Argyle 0. Torquay United 4, Cheltenham Town 2. And Wycombe Wanderers 1, York City 1. On to the Skrill Premier. Aldershot Town 2, Wrexham 0. Alfreton Town 3, Barnet 1. Braintree Town 1, Southport 0. Cambridge United 2, Forest Green Rovers 1. Chester 0, Grimsby Town 0. Dartford 3, Kidderminster 0. Halifax Town 1, Hereford United 1. Hyde 0, Welling United 1. Luton Town 3, Lincoln City 2. Macclesfield Town 3, Woking 2. Nuneaton Town 1, Salisbury City 2. And Tamworth 0, Gateshead 1. Into Scotland and the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 0. Celtic 2, St Johnstone 1. Hibernian 2, St Mirren 0. Partick Thistle 1, Kilmarnock 1. Ross County 2, Hearts 1. The Scottish Championship. Dumbarton 1, Livingston 2. Falkirk 3, Dundee 1. Greenock Morton 0, Queen of the South 2. Hamilton Academical 1, Cowdenbeath 0. And Wraith Rovers 4, Alloa Athletic 2. The Scottish League 1, Arbroath 3, Stenhouse Muir 4. Ayr United 2, Brechin City 2. Dunfermline 2, Airdrieonians 1. Stranraer 2, East Fife 0. The Scottish League 2, Annan Athletic 1, Clyde 2. Berwick Rangers 1, Stirling Albion 1. East Stirlingshire 1, Albion Rovers 4. Montrose 2, Peterhead 1. And Queen's Park 3, Elgin City 3. The Corbett Sports Welsh Premier. Aberystwyth Town 3, Gap Connors Quay 3. Airbus UK Broughton 3, Port Talbot Town 0. Newtown 3, Avon Lido 3. Prestatyn Town 1, Carmarthen Town 1. And the New Saints 2, Bangor City 0 is a latest score. Lastly, the Danske Bank Premiership in Ireland. Ballina-Mallard 1, Linfield 2. Coleraine 3, Warren Point Town 2. Crusaders 2, Portadown 2. Dungannon Swifts 1, Ards 0. Glenavon 1, Cliftonville 0. And finally, Glentoran 0, Ballymena United 0.
Well, Liverpool may deeply regret missing the chance to extend their lead at the top. There's a very good chance that one of Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, the Manchester clubs or Chelsea will replace them before the weekend is out. Everton, the only unbeaten Premier League club, they are now fourth. Well, Paolo Di Canio Sunderland appear to be in real trouble. They're the only team not to have won in the Premier League so far. Aston Villa will be much happier than they were this morning, having leapt up to 12th. In the Championship, leaders QPR extend their lead to 3 points thanks to a win at Yeovil Town. Burnley go second following their win at Leeds United. Leicester City dropping 1 place after conceding a late equaliser at Blackpool. At the bottom, no change in the bottom 3, who all lost today. Birmingham City rise to 18th after their win over Sheffield Wednesday. They're just above the relegation zone despite being winless. Top of League One looks like this. Leyton Orient play on Monday. They stay top. Peterborough United and Wolverhampton Wanderers close in on them after both winning today. Bradford City climb into the top 6 after winning at Gillingham. And at the bottom, that loss for Gillingham means they slip to the bottom of the pile because Notts County beat Tranmere Rovers. Let's take a look at the top of League Two. Chesterfield 4 points clear after beating Oxford United, a result which means the Spyrites are now the only unbeaten side in the division. Fleetwood and AFC Wimbledon both won to move above Oxford United. Winless Accrington Stanley remain bottom of the table following defeat at home to Rochdale. Northampton Town lost at Mansfield Town and occupy the other relegation spot, with York City moving out to the bottom 2 after a draw. This is how the Skrill Premier looks. Cambridge United replace Nuneaton Town and Alfreton Town lead from 7th up to 3rd. Hyde remain rock bottom. They're now 4 points adrift from Macclesfield Town, who beat Woking today. And this is how the Scottish Premiership looks this evening. Inverness stay top despite suffering their first defeat of the season against Aberdeen. Reigning champions Celtic are behind Cally Thistle on goal difference following their 2-1 win against St Johnstone. Bottom side Hearts 9 points adrift after their defeat at Ross County. Nearest rival St Mirren also lost. Well, don't forget, we want to hear from you today via Twitter. Let us know who's been outstanding today in whichever league you have been watching. Get in touch via Twitter. Use the hashtag result of the day. We are now going to start our look back at the Barclays Premier League by talking about this extraordinary incident that we've just been looking at. Paolo Di Canio has gone to the Sunderland supporters at the Hawthorns, it appears, Dion, where they have been very, very critical of him this afternoon. And just take a look at what happens here, because he seems then to start having a discussion with the Sunderland fans. Dion.
Yeah, he's well, obviously he's saying, keep your chin up, it's my fault. You know, and you can see there's a gentleman in the glasses to the left as we look, starts to say, we've got 1 point, we've got 1 point. And I've never seen this of a manager.
Have you ever seen this before?
Not really, no. He wants to share his disappointment to the terraces. There's a despair, and that displeasure, he wants to show that. But he doesn't go too close because he recognises that 1 or 2 aren't particularly happy. You know, like, get back into that dressing room and go and talk to your players, and that's what he should be doing.
There's a chap there saying you're going to be sacked in the morning.
Well, the pressure's going to come onto him big time, and he's going to have to stick together with his players. He's very publicly critical of his players. That'll need to change. Yeah. And they are in deep trouble.
Yeah. Really interesting. That's the sort of shot that you will see more of tonight, of course, in Match of the Day, and it no doubt will be in many of your Sunday newspapers. Let's hear from Everton's goal-scoring hero today, Romelu Lukaku.
Romelu, many congratulations. A fantastic winning goal, but how much do you remember of it?
Nothing. I didn't even know that I scored. I asked the first thing I asked. They said to the doc, I said, who scored? They said, you. I said, like, thank you, God, and that's it. And then I went to it again, but, you know, we won. That's the most important thing.
Do you even remember the cross coming in from the right-hand side?
Just the cross, and after that, I don't remember anything. Just I had the knock, and then I fell away, and then I didn't remember what happened for a couple of seconds, and then I woke up, and they said I scored, so I'm very happy.
Fantastic debut for you. You only came on at half-time, but did you feel that you got to the pace of the game immediately in the way Everton play?
Yeah, I think so. I worked very hard for the last couple of weeks, and I want to thank the technical staff because they worked so hard with me, and they worked on every aspect, physically and also technically, and I think I adapted very quick, but the road is still very long, and I have to keep on working like I'm doing now, and hopefully do better results in the next upcoming games.
You're going to go in the dressing room now and have a look at your goal and try and remind yourself of what you did?
No, the first thing was we'll call my parents first and then ask what happened, and then focus on the next game, because we have the next game on Tuesday. We have to be ready for that.
Well done. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
So Everton now the only unbeaten team in the Premier League. That's because Liverpool were beaten at Anfield. Let's have a very quick chat with Guy Mowbray. Guy, what happened to Liverpool today?
Well, they were very good in the second half, basically, Jason. It was a lively enough first half and honours even. But then Southampton, well, they just went for it. And the goal that won the game was a comedy of errors as far as Liverpool are concerned. They gave away a needless throw-in, quickly followed by a careless corner. Southampton scored from it. They didn't sit back. They went to try and score goals 2 or 3 and would have done, but for Simon Mignolet. The better team won today. Southampton, good value for this 1-0 win.
It would be very easy, wouldn't it, Guy, for us to concentrate on Liverpool not playing well today, but take nothing away from Southampton?
Absolutely not. And what impressed me most was what I've just alluded to, the fact that they kept on going. They came to Anfield and they went for the win. There were some really impressive performances from pretty much everybody away, particularly the right-back, Nathaniel Klein, who had his former Crystal Palace mate, Victor Moses, under lock and key throughout most of it. And, yeah, I think Southampton were good value, and I think they'll get more results like this as the season goes on.
Guy, thank you very much indeed. And, of course, highlights of that game, Liverpool v Southampton, and the rest of what's been a thrilling day in the Barclays Premier League in Match of the Day tonight with Gary at 10:30 here on BBC One. But thanks to Martin and to Dion, we'll continue our look back at the day's big stories on the Red Button and on the BBC Sport website in a few minutes. That's where we are on Saturdays from 2:30. Next week, we're on at 4 here on BBC One. Join us on the Red Button. Bye for now.